no day. So we're gonna go, and right now the first step is of course open our file. You can either new file or you can go into your file on top, you see, and you can open new. Okay, whichever you guys want. So 8.5 by 11 leather size, and not only that, one artboard as well, RGB 300 ppi. Create, and now it's gonna be creating one. First things we do is we're gonna save this in that designated file. I had a Crystal Araujo. We're gonna put Crystal Araujo dash skirt. So you put your name and you put skirt. Ignore the replace because I was working on it before. That's why. So we're gonna start from scratch, guys. So all the reference pictures, meaning the croquis and the skirt, are in Brightspace. So this is the croquis, and I can drag it in. If you have a Mac, you can drag the files into your window for Illustrator. So if you have a PC, you can always just place based on using your file, going into it, and you can put okay, that's it, and you placed it already. You can do each one. It doesn't matter how you do it, just as long as you're able to use the references. So I do know that in Brightspace there's a picture of a dress. We're not doing the dress right now. We're just gonna do the skirt. Now, a lot of the fashion design students will understand and have seen what a croquis is look like. This is what is used to make sketches in proportion to a fashion figure. Now, for our purposes, I'm just gonna use the skirt right now. Now, last week, next week I'll actually follow up and I'll show really quickly how to do a skirt. But we're trying to catch up, so this will be your homework. Okay. So I put this all in one layer already. I'm gonna create a new layer. This way I don't, when I click or I draw on top of it, it doesn't select the image as well. I know a lot of you with your tank projects, that was one thing that most of you struggle with. The other part too, there is another shortcut, and little by little I'll be showing you ways to do things. So if I select the image and I do Command 2 or Control 2, you notice how the lines disappear. Whatever I do, whatever I click on, it's not selecting. That's locking the layer. Meaning, look, I'm select, it's not selected. That means it's locked. This is unlike in Photoshop that you have to put a little lock on it. Illustrator is a lot more straightforward. If you select and put Command 2, it's locked. No, you cannot select it again. It's just gonna be in the background. Now, if you want to unlock it, it's Option Command 2 or Option Control 2. Okay, Option usually means Alt in PC. Okay, so for now, I'm just gonna create another layer. It's just easier for everybody to toggle in and out. That's why I create different, meaning toggle in and out is viewing. Look, I can just do that and I can have my clean lines, etc. Okay, so I'm showing you exactly how to create, always save your file by the way, how to create a sketch of a skirt. We're only gonna do the front right now. I will do the back as well, but we'll figure it out, okay? For homework, you only need to show me the front. For the midterm, you only need to show me the front. Right now, for anyone that doesn't want to use this skirt, that's fine. You can create your own skirt. That's okay. I'm showing first on how to do with an image just because it makes it easier for everyone, even people that haven't taken illustration or not in a fashion design major. Okie dokes. So let's just say I want this, the lines are a little too harsh for me to draw on top. If you select the image on top of your bar, you want to see opacity, you can do that too. The opacity is not in the same way that layers are in Photoshop. You can just make it less. There you go. And I do that, you'll see why, because I'm gonna be drawing on top of it. Okay, so we do all of this, save your file. Now I need rulers and I need a guideline. The good news is that we're only gonna be sketching half of the skirt and then we mirror the other half. Got it? Okay, perfect. So what we're gonna do then is we're gonna go to view and we can do, let's go into, well, I have mine to smart guides and you'll understand what that means in a bit. Make sure that your box is not hidden, it's showing. That means the little markers, the little white little dots around an object. Show slices. I like to show slices, and you know what I mean by that. That's when you move things around, you can see the angles between each other. That's what that means. So then we go into view, we go to rulers, show rulers. The shortcut for that is Command R. Command R. Look, exactly where you need it to be. Now, if you really want to see the grid, you can put Command apostrophe or Control apostrophe. It's up to you what you want to do. Some people match their croquis to the middle, right in the middle of that line, of the 1-inch line, to make sure that's the reference, because we're only going to do half. So how do we know it's the perfect half? We're matching it. Or I like the other way, which makes it easier for me. If I go to the second layer, remember to toggle in and out. If you're not able to select something, sometimes you might be in the different layers, so keep that in mind. Okay, I like to create my own guideline. So since I have the ruler, if you click on the ruler, not lift, click and drag, you see that little line that's coming out? Match it to the center. That's it. You have a guideline now. You can go from the top of the ruler that is on the horizontal, and that's it. Now, same thing, get used to using Command Z. Shift Command C is to go forward once, Control C or Command C is to go backwards once. So get used to it. Don't fret if something doesn't work. Always make sure to save. Okay, so we're here. Now, maybe this picture is not where I need it to be, and I guess I just zoom in. How do we zoom in? Is Control minus, Control plus. I think some of you noticed that if you're using a laptop, the zooming, especially Macs, you can use the same way that you zoom in as in your phone with your 2 fingers, and you separate them. Okay, perfect. So then now we're going back to this one. So how you usually do a sketch is we're only gonna focus on the edge, okay? Meaning right now I have a fill and a stroke. I don't need the fill. So what I do is I click on the fill and I take it out. You see how it says none? You take it out. Perfect. We go back to the fill. To the stroke. Now, I'm only gonna focus on the edge. Why? Because I want the skirt edge to be the thickest line. And that's what we did in the tank. But now we're gonna do symmetrical. So we're just gonna draw this first. It's a cute little skirt. And remember how we just, let me go back so you guys, anyone that missed it. Click, pressing shift, so I make sure I have a straight line. Another click. I go down, pressing shift, click. Seeing where the hips are at? This skirt has shape. We're gonna click and drag for that slight shape in the hip. Now, it is an A-line. This is not really tight to the body. So you see how I'm going a little bit out. Now, the other part that's good at having this sketch is that we can see the length of this skirt already. That length is not right, is below her fingertips. So we'll say around mid-thigh, okay? Let's go here. And then pressing shift, I click to the middle again. That's it. Now, I can fix things. With my direct select or pressing A, I go back to the arrow and I can fix my curve. I think that's better. Perfect. Now, we're gonna go back to the stroke part. I want this to be a thicker. Let's do a 2 point stroke. And let me zoom in so I can show you exactly what I'm doing. You see how straight edge that is? That little corner? You can soften it by using a different cap. And you can soften it by using a different corner. You see that difference now? Before it was, so you can see, you see how straight that is? Now everything changes just because of those two little toggles. Perfect. So we do 2 inches for that. Now, what I am going to do is, I am going to go with making sure this is the skirt is not selected because I'm not changing the stroke of the edge. I'm going to 1 point. And then I'm just gonna click, pressing shift, and that's it. And then escape if I don't wanna have any more lines. Remember, if you do not want an extra line because you cannot get away from it, always press escape. Okay? Okay. Now I am gonna create that little princess seam line. For anyone that doesn't know, like, okay, so we're gonna do a little bit of curve. We're gonna follow this princess seam. We click, we start clicking. Let's do it again. Click, click and hold and drag. Perfections. And then we go down. That's it. And then escape so I don't have the line again. Now you can see that I need this, the points not meeting each other. So what I do, I click with my direct select tool with an A and I move it up just a little bit. That's it. With my arrows. You can move it with your arrows, up and down arrows, okay? There you go. Perfect. Now, these have stitches. What are we gonna do? This is why I chose this skirt, because it has stitches too. We are going to, it's the same shortcut as in Photoshop that when we select something and we duplicate it. We select it, direct select it, pressing Alt or Option, which is in your Mac. You click, I'm gonna show you. You click it, hold the Option key or the Alt key, drag it, and let it go. Why am I doing that? Because I don't have to redraw the whole line again. I'm just duplicating it. So then what happens? I want to create that stitch. As you can see, the stitch is in the inside. I'm only doing 1 stitch. You don't have to double stitch for now. It's okay. So now we're going to do maybe 0.5 because it's stitch. You see right here, dash lines, click on it. Mine says 12 points. No. You see how big those dash lines? I want to make it small. So I think it's very straightforward. What's the dash and what's the gap between the dashes? So right now, I will say 4, 5. That's even too small. And you can play. I mean, too big. So then 1 and 2, maybe 2 and 2. That's fine. And that's it. You have it. Okay. We are going to do these stitches differently. Well, let's just focus on that for now. Okay. So now that we have this here, we're going to select the entire skirt. Why haven't I done this part yet? You'll see why. Because I'm only doing things that I know I need to mirror. That overlap on the front does not need to be mirrored because it's only one. So just grab and select your entire skirt. Correct? Okay. And then you are going to go and press down the rotate tool. You can also press O for reflect. You understand? Meaning click, if you see rotate, click and hold to see reflect. Click and reflect. Double click on reflect, and I need you to see this so you can have a preview. But oh, Professor, why don't I have a copy? I will have to copy and paste it. Now, you see right here, make sure it's in vertical, 90 degrees, put copy. It does it for you. Perfect. Now, it also makes everything aligned. So without missing a beat, you click on the selection, pressing shift so you don't move around that much. You see what I meant by the slices and showing that? You see how it says where's the intersection? It's helping you guide where everything's overlapping. So it's a perfect mirror. So that's why I made you guys do that. Okay, we have this line. Now we're gonna do stitches. The good news is that I can just draw them. Click, press shift, and click again. But do I have to redraw the bottom? No, we already know we can duplicate lines. So if we have this selected already, we can press Alt and go down. That's it. Same thing at the bottom. Alt, I'm sorry, click, shift, and click again. Done. That's somewhat done. Now we can see what's happening here. Let's make the center front. It's not so. Yes, so for my fashion design students and everyone between, this line, the overlap edge, is not your center front. It is not. Your buttons are in the center front, meaning this is your center front, guys. The middle, the center of your button is your center front, okay? Now, if you were to make this pattern, you'll understand what I mean by that, and some of you are taking draping with me, so you'll understand what I mean by that. So basically, this edge is a little bit to the side, and just match the same pattern. Oh my goodness, why is it red? It's okay. There's two ways to change this. Either I can just change the stroke myself by clicking this, or I can press I, like here, the eyedropper, and just click on any line. I can even make this a dash if I wanted to. So the eyedropper tool is different. It doesn't necessarily, it does more strokes and color depending on what you're clicking, and you'll notice. So play with that. Now we select the straight line. We are gonna duplicate it once again, and we are gonna now, oh, I love my dash. That's okay. We go into the eye tool, eyedropper with I, or you can just click it here and just click on the dash line. Perfect. It is done. Now, for our sake, I'm just gonna do a quick button. We're not gonna do the fancy buttons maybe in 2 weeks. That's called more of a brush. So pressing M or pressing and holding where your rectangle is, you're gonna press ellipse tool. And we play with this. We made it into a round or not. Okay. So we click on it and we drag, but we press shift. You see it has perfect circle. Perfect. So then what we're gonna do is we click and drag to the button size that you think is best. I think that's fine. Doesn't need to be perfect. But it's dash. Okay, you toggle out the dash, but I want it to be filled with white. For the ones that want to be a little fancy with your buttons, you can make sure to select this button. Go to Windows. You don't have to change. You can change the color to whatever you want. But if you want metallic because you feel extra today, that's okay. I like metallics too. You go to Windows. You go to Libraries. You go all the way down to Swatch Libraries. You go to Gradients. You go to, where are you? Where are you? Metals. Sorry, I didn't see it. That will pop up automatically. Another window will pop up, already done ombres. Click on the one you like. Click on the one that speaks to you. I think today I feel like polished brass, and that already changes. I also want to change the size of that line outside. It looks a little too thick. Maybe we make it 0.25. You see the difference already, guys. Okay, guess where we're gonna do it? We're gonna do something really fun. It's all about shortcuts. If we click on it, we're not gonna be copy and pasting. I can copy and paste all day, but there's a faster way to make sure that the buttons line up for now. Okay, so then don't worry if you don't get the exact same amount of buttons. I just need to see buttons. That's all. Okay, or an attempt at buttons. So what we're gonna do is select it, Make sure in direct select. If you're not, let's do it again. Select it. Click option. And you see how it's telling me the distance. That's why I opened the views of the slices, the distances, all the smart guides. It helps you. The one thing I do not like is snap. But that's another thing. If you have snap, you'll know what I mean because it doesn't help you put the objects anywhere you want. So you might have to take that out. Anyways, so once this is selected, I am not going to do that again. You know why? Because with Illustrator, you can do Command D, Command D, Command D, Command D, Command D. That replicates any step that you have done and does it again in the same distance of the object that you do it again without you thinking. So yes, mine has a lot of buttons, but that's okay. I'm gonna let it be. Perfect. Now, for the back, because this is really simple skirt. Now, let's just take all of this out. This is why I said work in layers, because now I can take it out really quickly. Done. Goodbye, red line. I can even go to view and take out that guideline. How do I do that? View, guides, clear. Done. I don't need to see it again. Perfect. I'm going to select it. And once again, I'm going to copy it with the Alt key. Now, for all of you that are a little worried about the Alt key, you can do Command C, Command V. I just don't like it because it doesn't line them up. I just like it when everything's really well straightened in the page. It just looks much neater. But anyways, we're gonna select it, pressing option. We're gonna click and we're gonna select it again. Now, this skirt has the opening on the front. So that means there's not gonna be an opening in the back at all. So what we're gonna do is you're just gonna straighten this out. Goodbye. That's it. That's your back because it's a skirt. Now, if you wanted to make it very, I will accept this already. This is fine. But if you really wanted to make sure to show that this has more of a back, the bottom hem will curve out a little bit. So we're gonna take that point out with my, you see this? With my direct select. And I drag and select that line only and I press delete. If you press delete too much, it's gonna delete the entire line because it's direct select. But if you do one delete only, it's just gonna delete one thing. Okay, so then what we do is I'm just gonna connect. You see how my pen now has a minus? That means I'm able to connect it. And look at my guidelines. It's telling me where the middle is. I click and drag and I connect it. Once you see that little circle, and I think some of you have, that means it's completing an entire object. It's like closing the loop. Think of it that way. That's done. Now I get out of it. I click on both of these lines. Yes, I'm not selecting the entire line. I'm still direct selecting only points. Why? Because I'm able to drag those points. Now, if I were to select the entire line, look what happens. It will read as me just moving this. You understand? So I'm just selecting the little points. Now, this is if you want to know how to do the back, and you just drag it out, or you can just use your arrows. I'm gonna change this line too. We're just gonna click. Now, sometimes you might have to zoom in with Command ++ to make the hem happen because it might be such a tiny section. It's hard for you to catch it with your cursor or your mouse. So just zoom in if you're having difficulties. Done. Click and drag. I could change also the back to be higher as well to have that curve because it usually does in real patterns. But that's okay. I'm not going to do it right now. This is just to differentiate the front and the back. Let's just say, oh, it's too curved out. You just click and select the points that you know you have and you bring it up. That's better. I think that looks more realistic. You save it and you're done. That's what I need right now. Um, some of you might want to fill this in. This is extra. You don't need to, like, this is what I will be looking for. You don't have to do the brown ham. I just need to see the front for the homework. You don't have to do the back. But for those who are really curious and want to really play along on what can be done next, you can click on your outside edge, which is the thicker one, and you can start changing color if you want. Because guess what? Because we closed it. When you see the little circle and we close the loop, you can color everything all at once. But what happens here? Oh no, like what happened to my other lines? Is because the same way that in Photoshop you can see all the layers, some lines seems to be in front of, on top of the object, and some not lines not. So when that happens, is if you ever used PowerPoint in any way, you will understand what I mean a little bit more. But when this happens, you just control or right click. I think, yeah, it's right click. And then you're just gonna go arrange, send to back. That's it. Now, this, the front, I did not close it on purpose because I wanted to show you how it looks. You see, I don't, even you can see it. I'm not able to select this whole object. So that when that happens, let's see what happens when I color it in. It's coloring pretty well though because it's overlapping. These points are overlapping. But if it's not, usually you might see like a little line of sorts like this. So overall, like I said, I will accept for the homework as long as you do this version. We're okay. You don't need to do all of this, but the midterm will be filling in and making sure like you can do your own designs too. It's up to you. But if you make sure to do it accordingly, you can do the midterm little by little. And even if you start doing the back right now, you don't have to worry about doing that for the final. Okay? Okay. Now, the other way for anybody who wasn't sure on how to do the skirt, you can use the croquis or you can even use this image. Okay? It does not, it just needs to be drawn. If you're not really sure how to draw it on top of the croquis, just use this and just draw on top. Like you can just draw on top if you're not really sure. I just need to make sure that you're trying your best and you're trying to understand Illustrator. You can draw it on top just like I did just now, and that's okay. But it just needs, I need to see the homework though, okay? Thank you so much. Have a great, I'll see you next week.